This is part 47 of ASP.NET MVC tutorial. In this video, we'll discuss displaying images in an MVC application. Please watch part 46 before proceeding. We'll be working with the same example that we worked with in part 46. Now, notice that when we navigate to this details view, we can view an employee's personal details. Along with the personal details, let's say we also want to display the employee's photo. The path for this photo is going to come from this photo column. Just in case if the photo at that path is missing, then we are going to make use of this text from this column as the alternate text. So here, first of all, let's go ahead and add these two columns to this table TBL employee. Let's flip to SQL Server Management Studio. Notice that at the moment this table doesn't have those two columns, and this is the SQL script to add those two columns, in this case photo and alternate text. Let's now select the data back. Notice that we have the two columns, but then they are null obviously. Now let's go ahead and update the photo and alternate text column values for John Smith. So this is the update script. I'll have the SQL script available on my blog just in case if you need it. Notice that the photo for John Smith is going to be present in Photos folder. And where is this Photos folder going to be present? Notice the symbol here, tilde /. So what does tilde indicate? Tilde indicates the root directory of our web application. What is the root directory for our web application here? MVC demo. So within MVC demo, we're going to have a folder with name photos, and within that there's going to be a photo johnsmith.png. So let's go ahead and add a new folder to the root folder here, and the name of the folder is going to be photos. And I already have this image johnsmith.png, so let me copy that and paste it into this photos folder. So we have the image. Now the next step is to update our ADO.NET entity data model. So here we have sample data model, which is again nothing but the ADO.NET entity data model that we have built based on this table TBL employee. And if you notice this model has got the properties for all columns except for these two newly added columns, that's photo and alternate text. Notice that at the moment we don't have properties for those two columns. So obviously we need to update this model, and to do that, right click on this and select update model from database. So this is going to connect to the database and retrieve all the tables, views and stored procedures. Click on this refresh tab and then expand tables, select table TBL employee, click finish. So this should add properties for those two columns as well, photo and alternate text. Let's save everything and let's build our solution just to make sure everything still compiles. Alright, now notice that at the moment we already have details view, but I'm going to delete that and regenerate it once again. Now let's navigate to the home controller, and notice that within the home controller we're actually storing this employee object within view data. But let's delete that and pass this employee object to the view itself. And now let's add details view. The name of the view is going to be details. We're going to make use of Razor View Engine, and let's create a strongly typed view against employee model class. The scaffold template is going to be details. Let's add that. So this should add details view. And let's use a div tag and set style attribute. And let's set font family to Arial. Let's get rid of these action links at the bottom. Let's save everything and let's refresh our view. And once this view is refreshed, as you might expect, we should display photo and alternate text properties as well. But look at what's going to happen. Instead of rendering the photo, it's actually displaying the photo path itself. Okay, so why is that? That's because if you look at the generated view, notice that for the photo property and for alternate text property, we are using display for HTML helper, which is literally going to display the value that is stored within those two columns in the database table. Okay, but instead of displaying the column value, we actually want to render the photo of the employee. Okay, and to render images, a photo is nothing but the image. So to render an image, we use image, right? So we expect in MVC to have something like @html.image, but do we really have that HTML helper? No, unfortunately. Okay, but in our next video we'll discuss creating this custom image HTML helper. Okay, but for now, to render an image, I'm going to use the image tag itself. So image, and obviously to display an image, to render an image, we need to specify the source for the image. So where is the source going to come from? The source is going to come from the photo property of the model object. But then if you look at this photo property, whatever we have stored there is a relative path. Okay, now we need to somehow convert that relative path into a URL, URL basically. And to do that, we have another HTML helper in MVC at url.content. This HTML helper is going to take that relative path which this photo property is going to return, and then it resolves that to a URL, okay, for that specific resource, in this case johnsmith.png. So that is the source. And then the alternate text, just in case if the image is missing, where is the alternate text going to come from? It's going to come from model.alternate text property. So we have the image tag right there, and we can get rid of this div tag which is displaying alternate text, because we don't want to display alternate text. We want alternate text to be set as the value for this alt attribute, for that image. Alright, so with all these changes, let's build our solution and let's refresh this view. And notice that we have the image as expected. But then look at the amount of code that we have written. Though this is not hugely complex, but this is still quite a bit of code to be present in a view. So views are supposed to be as simple as possible. Any complicated logic within the view need to move into an HTML helper. We want to keep our views as simple as possible. So in our next video, we'll actually develop an HTML helper. So maybe something like image, and then we simply specify the source, which is going to come from model.photo, and the alternate text is going to come from model.alternate text. So we want something like this, as simple as that. But then for that we need to build this custom HTML helper, which we will be doing in our next video session. Alright, on this slide you can find resources for ASP.NET, C# and SQL Server interview questions. That's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.